This video, we'll be going over IRS Notice CP79. So this is a notice that you might receive from the Internal Revenue Service if they denied certain tax credit that you tried to claim, and such as the Earned Income Credit, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, which is one of the education tax credits, or the Child Tax Credit, or Additional Child Tax Credit. So these are certain tax credits that are very prone to abuse in terms of fraudulent tax credit claims. So what the IRS has done is they've taken a very close look at certain tax returns and determined that these types of tax credits are ones that are subject to abuse. And what they say is that for certain taxpayers, if the abuse, or if there's a perception of abuse that's pretty flagrant, then they not only will deny the tax credit for the current year, they'll actually deny you the ability to claim it in the future under certain circumstances. So we'll go through this notice. We'll point out what you can do, what you should do, and things of that nature. But that's the focus of CP79. It's the IRS denied one or more credits that you claimed on your tax return, and then you may need to ask for permission to and jump through some additional hoops to claim that tax credit in the near future. So before we get to the meat of this, I want to point your attention to the upper right hand corner. So you'll see the notice number, CP79, the tax year. So this is for the 2016 tax year. The notice date was January 26, 2017. If there is an action that the IRS requests that you take, you should always pay attention to the notice date, because that's usually kind of the anchor point for action items. Like if you want to disagree with something, or if you need to pay a notice, you may have 3 weeks from the notice date. You may have 30 days to take an action. You may have 60 days, but it usually is tied into whatever the date of the notice is, not the date that you receive it in the mail. On the left-hand side, you'll see your name and address. And I always tell people that if you've recently moved, you should update your address in your tax records. You can do that by filing your tax return, where the IRS will update your record for you. You can call the IRS, and if you're already going to call the IRS, you can, while you're on the phone, validate your information and change your address of record over the phone, or you can file the IRS change of address notice. For individuals, that's IRS Form 8822. For business owners, it's IRS Form 8822-B. So we'll put links in the show notes to resources that we've created about forms and schedules that we mention here. So let's take a closer look. So the Earned Income Credit, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, the Child Tax Credit, or the Additional Child Tax Credit, those are all claimed on different forms and schedules, and we'll put links to those forms and schedules in the show notes. But basically, what they're saying here in this fairly brief letter is you're going to need to request permission. You're going to need to provide additional information to claim that tax credit after it was disallowed. And if you do not file IRS Form 8862 with your next tax return, then you won't receive the credits that you're requesting until you get that form into the IRS. So then after they receive your form, they'll review your tax return. They may send you an audit letter to ask for additional information in order to approve the credit. So if they audit your tax return and deny the tax credits, they can impose a 2-year ban on your tax credits if they find that you either recklessly or intentionally disregarded the tax rules. So there's a very specific definition that the IRS has, which is different from fraud. Fraud would be like claiming a child tax credit when you don't have any children. And in that case, that would be a 10-year ban. But if you claimed a bunch of tax credits for your kid and you clearly did not qualify, but you put them in there anyway, that might be a reckless or an intentional disregard of the tax rules. So you're not trying to deceive the IRS. You're just trying to get them to pay you money by pumping up a credit that you might not be entitled to. So there is additional information. You can pull down these publications from the IRS website. I am going to just navigate over to this link just to see what the IRS page says. Again, there's not a whole lot of additional information on this. It just kind of says very similar stuff to the notice. You don't need to take any action. What tax credits does it apply to? It applies to the Earned Income Tax Credit, which you claim on Schedule EIC, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, which is a refundable tax credit that you claim on IRS Form 8863, and the Child Tax Credit, the Additional Child Tax Credit, and the Refundable Child Tax Credit, or the Credit for Other Dependents. All of those are filed on Schedule 8812. So these are all refundable tax credits, which means that taxpayers who owe zero tax liability can actually receive a tax refund in a year where they did not pay tax in the first place. So that's what's known as a refundable tax credit. Those are prone to abuse, which is why the IRS puts a few more restrictions on these types of tax credits, as opposed to non-refundable tax credits, which can reduce your tax bill down to zero, but can't produce a refund below zero. So you can get a refund if you paid a bunch of taxes and then you have a tax credit that brings your bill down to zero, but you can't get a credit because your tax bill was negative. So that's why the IRS is cracking down on this. And I think that's pretty much it for this particular notice. So as I mentioned, we'll put links in the show notes to the resources that we've created about these different forms and schedules. So if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions or comments, or if there's another topic that you'd like to see in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.